Ciao ragazzi, welcome back to another episode of Serie Sit Down. We are part of the World Football Index. Clearly, I'm not Frank Crivello. Frank Crivello is away. I'd like to tell you for a good reason, but it's his to watch the sorry Steelers lose tonight. But don't worry, I'm not going to do this alone. On episode 200, we had some great guests, and one of our guests, we told him it's been so long since we last had him on. We're going to bring you on soon. It was 2 episodes. Well, please welcome to the show, everybody, Zio, Rocco Fasano. Welcome to the show, Rocco. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you very much for having me. I'm going to try my best to fill in Frank's shoes. I know it's an arduous task, but I think I'll be up to it.
Good. We got lots of games to talk about. The chat is lively already, which is always awesome. A good sign. We had a lot of goals this weekend. Some good games. This is rivalry weekend, right? We had obviously the Derby della Mole, SassuoloInter, FiorentinaNapoli, AtalantaMilan, just to name a few. So a lot of big games. We're going to get to games in here real quick. We're also going to talk about the Azzurri call-ups. We're going on to international break here. So we got some call-ups to talk about, some injuries as a result of that. And then we're going to obviously end this all with Who Won Calcio Twitter. So let's get into the action here. Rocco, since I have you on, we're going to talk Derby della Mole. What a big game this was, right? This is a game that obviously is a massive derby. And, looking at the lineups of these two teams, Torino is technically the host team in this one. And so look at the lineup for the hosts. Milinkovic-Savic in goal, David Zima, Bremer, Rodriguez, and Singo in the back. You had Pobega, Mandragora, Olaina, and Lukic in the middle with Brecolo and Sanabria up top. Mm-hmm. Looking at this Torino lineup, what was the big worry for you as a Juventus fan, trying to see this, where the goals may come from against Torino?
Well, the Torino usually reference up top is Belotti, right? And he was missing in this match, so you kind of don't have that terminal through which a lot of their play could be directed. But in more so than individuals, I feared the Juric factor. Juric is a coach who I have a heck of a lot of respect for. I think he was able to turn LS Verona into a hellish side for a lot of their opponents. And I think that based on what we had seen until this point and at the beginning of the season, we had reason to believe that Juventus could have been in for a heck of a lot of trouble from Juric's side. So that's what I feared the most going into it.
Yeah, no, I think, obviously the Belotti news is the big one. He's got a serious injury where he's been out for a couple of games now. Hopefully it's not too serious, right? But Sanabria is going to be in his place, and Sanabria on his day can get some goals in.
Absolutely.
So, and then Mandragora obviously is someone you want to keep an eye on. Guy can shoot. He's a good playmaker. Juventini product as well. So
right, and a former, right? Because the one rule in Serie A is the former player's goal. Il gol dell'ex, as they call it, they say in Italian. So that's a classic, always a classic. So, and we've seen already some of them materialize this season, but it happens all the time. So it's definitely something that from range he can hurt you. So and you never know. A derby's a derby. It's a complete crapshoot.
Absolutely. And one of the guys for Torino, for me at least, that I was looking at was Wilfred Singo. I've been so impressed with this young gentleman.
Great on the flank.
Everybody's younger than me apparently. So, but yeah, he's really good, and I was really excited to see how we do in this one. So, looking at the traveling team, Juventus, Szczesny back in goal. Went with the back four of Danilo, De Ligt, Chiellini, Alexandro. Midfield, you had McKennie, Locatelli, Rabiot, and then up top you had Bernardeschi, Kane, and Chiesa. Thoughts on the Juventus lineup?
Well, Bonucci was kept out of it. That was a little bit of a surprise there, but Chiellini had to step in order to bring that tenacity to the game, and so in terms of that, I think it was fine. McKennie was kind of a bit of had me scratching my head going into it, but I do understand the man rotation, and Allegri is someone who will first give you a kick in the butt and then say, all right, get on with it, get out there and show me what you got, giving him almost an extra opportunity to redeem himself. when we get into the game, maybe we can analyze his gameplay a little bit. But other than that, Ken, looking for big stuff from him because he had some rest, as had McKennie, by the way. So those are kind of the two players I was looking for to bring their athleticism and the grinta, the cazzimma as they call it in Naples, because that's the thing that makes up a derby, right? It's the scrappiness, it's the fight, it's the ultimate show of Juventinità or of being a Granata, for in the case of Torino. So that's what I was looking for from the Juventus side.
Yeah, and obviously coming off a big win from the midweek, you knew there's gonna be rotation, but you wonder also, would there be a possible setback? It's a derby, so you wouldn't expect it, but it does happen. These you do have the trap games after a big game, so you're hoping that maybe Juventus wouldn't fall into that. Go ahead, please.
No, absolutely, that is the case. Also, more so that the fact that Torino has been thinking about the derby for a week straight, and you've started worrying about that on Thursday after their defaticante, they call it. So it's a post-match a cool down and recoup, right? Trying to restore your energy on Thursday, and that's basically when you left 1 day, 1.5 days to actually prepare the game. And sure enough, soon enough, we had a quick turnaround. So definitely a trap there for Juventus against Torino. Could have been a tricky game.
I see Cliff is in the chat already. How you doing, Cliff? No, so this game started out very well for Torino. I thought Torino started out very strong in this one. They're on the front foot from the beginning. A very strong first half. In a game like this, a derby like this, like I said, you're looking for the grinta, the back and forth.
Yeah.
You mentioned it. Torino's been looking for this matchup for a long time. They really had nothing else to look forward to, and they came out strong, punching it. The only thing missing from their first half was a goal. Constant pressure on them. I thought Singo completely was dominating Alexandro in the first half.
Yes.
Mandragora had a great shot from distance that Szczesny had to save. So it was a good first half for Torino, but again, missing a goal. What was your overall assessments of that first half?
I think Juve had a couple of quick flashes at the beginning of the match.
Moise Kean,
with Ken who couldn't close out a game. Close out a play, and then McKennie failed to clean up on the. I think it was on the same play or on the next play. Could have made it 1-0 early on, but you're right. For the rest of the first half, we saw a heck of a lot of Torino. Juve tried to build out. Not to build out from the back as they might, but to try to use players like Ken and like Chiesa and sometimes Bernardeschi as well to as targets in the midfield. And you'd have defenders or people in defending positions kicking the ball just straight down across the field, them running hooks behind to try to get those balls, right? But so many times Torino players were anticipating them, and that's why Juve only had 71% pass completion rate, which is very low. On average, any given team will do about 80%. And in the teams, for better teams, the better performers out there in Serie A, you're looking at 80 to 85%. So very, very low, and it showed throughout the game. Throughout the first half, with Torino looking like the better side.
Absolutely. And before we digress any further, I'm drinking this, which I never drink Coca-Cola. But I figured because you're Mr. Healthy, I have to be the yin to your yang. So I decided to drink some Coca-Cola. I never drink Coca-Cola. So anyway, that's beside the point. If I get sick, you know why. The big talk in the midweek was that Bernardeschi was used as a false 9 and this and that, and it actually worked out. So him back in the starting lineup didn't really surprise me. I think the shtick for McKennie, many people are saying he was awful. A lot of Juventini said he was awful. I thought he wasn't great, but I don't know if I would say awful. And the one opportunity we talked about in the first half that he missed, they really should have scored on. From the one angle, the TV angle, it looked like, yes, he should have scored that goal no matter what. Head down, keep the ball down, didn't do that. Right. But when you look at the other replay from behind him, you see that he actually mistimes it, or the ball was a little too wide right, and that's why he kind of shanked it. But he was bad. I agree. I think, certain situations like that, if it was maybe Chiesa in that position or Locatelli, you would imagine they'd put it on frame at least. So I can see why many Juventini were upset with him not playing well. Rabiot is not also doing that great, but he's had more better moments than McKennie, I would say. But the first half overall, like I said, Torino on the front for mostly. Both teams quality chances, as you mentioned. You know, with the 2 early shots early on with Juventus through Kane and McKennie. After that, it was all Torino going to halftime, and I wondered. I assumed Allegri would give the guys a talking to, and we would see a different Juventus in the second half, and we did. It took maybe 10 minutes in that second half, but Juve grew and grew more and more into the match. Started taking over Torino, and you really knew that Torino not converting these opportunities when they come back to bite them in the ass. And the game went on, more and more opportunities grew for Juventus. Obviously, the goal happened late. Chiesa and Locatelli hooking up. Great goal there. What did you see as the second half progressed to see how Juventus is more and more dominating the game?
So I think the key to the match, a turning point, was Cuadrado's entrance into the game. I think his interpretation of the right wing role completely opened up the match for Juve, gave Juventus a different kind of dynamic. So for him to play out wide, he, as a 4-4-2, more square, you're still covering the field, but in an attacking situation, you see him join in the attack and kind of convert it to a 4-3-3 and giving that asymmetrical shape that I think Allegri was really going for. In the first half, I think Bernardeschi was on that side. He wasn't doing that kind of a job. So he moved Bernardeschi further up the field and really gave him an opportunity. I think the way that Bernardeschi is interpreting that role up top, when he is put in that forward position, is more of a 90s style. And this is the folks who've been around for a while, more of a 90s style fantasista kind of interpretation of that role. So, and you see him, and he's offering a lot of assists, getting between the lines.
It's working, absolutely.
And it's working for him. And you know what? We like Juventini like to be critical of our players. Like right now, we're being critical of McKennie. But let's give to Bernardeschi. He's actually improved his game that much more in the last. He's having a good start to a season. It's not great. It's not excellent. It's not world class, but he's having a good start. Until then, and he's gotten us used to mediocre performances by and large, with the odd flash here and there. I hate to say it, but now he's actually about bang average. So I'm hoping to see his growth continue, not only for Juventus but also for the fate of the Italian national team, which I think we'll get into later on. I think he's someone who a lot of Juventini have their fingers crossed about and are excited about in terms of the prospects.
No, I absolutely agree. And to kind of shift it to Torino's side here, I mean, obviously Juventus won, but players that stood out for me, obviously Singo, especially in that first half against Alexandro. Milinkovic-Savic, I thought was a phenomenal in this game. He had a big save at Alexandro point blank in the second half. Pobega, I thought, was very good as well. I think what Torino were lacking were a Belotti, honestly. Had Belotti been in there with a game at a different result, I don't know. Someone in the chat is asking, Pete's asking, is Torino for real? I think they are. I think under Juric, they're going to be hard to play against, which we saw. And once Belotti is healthy, I think this team can be a good mid-table team and can make it difficult for teams. Would you agree, or do you see it differently with Torino?
I see Torino as a 7th place. Their ambition would be a 7th place type of spot. A Europa Conference League type situation. This year, there's a lot of competition up top. You're gonna have to see one of those teams fail miserably. I'm not gonna name any teams right now because I know I'll be wrong, but I don't know. Maybe a Lazio or maybe Atalanta have been performing lower than the par, lower than expectations. So in order for a Torino or a Fiorentina to get in there, they're gonna have to take advantage of one of those situations. As I said, Juric over time is going to build a team that is going to be uncomfortable to play against, a physical team, you should be able to keep up with them for a little bit, but the second you take the gas off, you're gonna hurt. You're gonna come back. You're gonna come out black and blue. Or as Guardiola said when he was referring to playing against Atalanta, it's like visiting the dentist, right?
Exactly. The dentist.
You're going to visit even a good dentist, but you'll still be hurting afterwards, So I think that's what it's going to be like to play against Torino's Juric. And I actually, even though I cheer for the team that is on the other side of the Po River, I'm looking forward to seeing I'm curious to see what they can bring.
Absolutely. And let's get back to your side of the river. I think what we've seen this week is maybe just a blip in the radar, but this past week, it looked like the return of Juventus in terms of Allegri ball. Great defense, just doing enough offensively to get the win. We saw that midweek with a great win there. Wonderful game plan by Allegri, again, with the defense in this one. Obviously, having Chiellini come in at the end of the game to help lock things up. We're starting to see Allegri trying to get his imprint in there. It's not there yet, obviously. You want to see more from the offensive end. Dybala would help it in that respect, Morata as well. But what we've seen so far is that the defense is starting to organize. They're not quite there yet, but at least this week, these last two games, and even that Milan game earlier, it looks like we're starting to see the shape take place. And if this is the Juventus we're going to see the rest of the season, this is going to be a dangerous one for everyone in Serie A. What are your thoughts on what you've seen from Allegri, especially this last week, in terms of getting the team back reorganized and playing more his style of ball?
One would like to think that after, 4 wins in a row, Juventus is starting to heal. And part of that healing process is about Allegri giving his identity and character back into the team. Big part of that, of course, is just to stop the bleeding. Start to fix up your defense. And you see that with senators, the likes of Chiellini and Bonucci, doing their job to bring everyone up to par. This is a team that was shocked by Ronaldo's departure and was suddenly scrambling to look for a new leader. Dybala emerged, and I don't think it's an accident that we've seen his performances improve almost immediately. Unfortunately, now he's, of course, no luck. He's gotten injured. But this is a team that seems to be rallying around the defensive phase first and working on the counterattack. Counterattacks against Chelsea. Counterattacks, even in the game against Torino was kind of the way that wasn't the go-to play, but that's something, that's a weapon that I think Juventus is starting to sharpen up again. Is that the way to go? No, I don't think so. I don't think that's a long-term solution, but in the short term, Juventus has to make up ground, and whichever way they can. So they have to find wins no matter what.
No, absolutely. I was reading some of the comments here. It says, Juve better heal fast. Next 2 matches are against Roma and Inter. Yeah, yes. Need to get their stuff together real quick. I think for me, if Allegri can get Ken and Kulusevski on the right page where he wants them, Juve can become really dangerous on the counter as well. I expect a lot of Ken, especially what he did at PSG. Obviously, he had the superstars around him, but he did very well there. So I expect him to become that leader in the striker role. Obviously, Morata is the guy right now. But Kulusevski as well. He has a dynamic ability where he can change the game in a dime. He hit that post late in the game, really out of nothing. He just shake and bake and got that off the post. Those two players, I think, if they can get onto Allegri's wavelengths, they can make things really interesting for Juventus going down the stretch here. But like you said, we heal up quick because you got some big games coming up here, huh?
Absolutely. And I think these two guys have what it takes in order to unlock. He has to unlock those players. Those players right now, they're grayed out, locked up. They're nowhere near where they can be. Even like they're so far below their par. I think that once Allegri finds a spot for Ken, either bringing him back to that target striker role or utilizing him along with the rest of the mix, maybe on the left wing, I think we're in for a treat. He can be a devastating player physically, and we know the Italian league is great for big target strikers who have a physical presence. We've seen that with Lukaku. We saw that. We see that with Dzeko. We see that with, historically with great players like Verdi and Toni after him. So, he's someone who can do damage. I think Kulusevski still needs to find his ideal role. And again, it's up to Allegri to unlock exactly what that is. But, this team, this isn't it. Like when Chiellini kind of, they read his lips and it was next to Allegri and said, this is who we are, right? Maybe he meant this is who we are right now, but this is not Juventus, right? McKennie is another player who's had a disastrous start to his season. And I know you're a McKennie fan because of he was a Schalke player. But, he's someone who has so much potential. And I don't think this is all we're going to see from him this year. I'm expecting better and better from him, Ken, and Kulusevski.
Yeah, I think we saw so much of McKennie last year. The ceiling got higher, and then he's not living up to it. So that kind of hurt him, to do this. So hopefully he gets back on track for you guys. For those who support him, like on the U.S. men's national team. But that's right. Big win in the derby for you guys. Nonetheless, Locatelli getting the dream winner. Happy for him. He had a huge weekend. Great goal. Got engaged. So good for him. Kudos all around.
Winning on and off the field, as they say.
There you go. So that was not the only big game of the weekend, obviously. We'll talk about the game that just ended a few hours ago. Atalanta hosting Milan. Mm-hmm. A lot of implications for the top of the table. Mm-hmm. So going into this match, Atalanta, we all know that they haven't been what we've expected or seen of them in the last couple of years, right? Usually, beginning of the season, they kind of focus all their chips on the Champions League because they're trying to get out of the group stages and put the Serie on the back burner, and their performances struggle because of that. Milan on the other side have been very hot so far this lately. Even in Champions League where they've lost both their games, they played very well for good stretches of those games and got decent results. Losses, but they got respect. So it was an interesting matchup to see who would dominate in this one. It didn't take long. Milan scored in the first minute, 28 seconds. In fact, Calabria got a goal off an assist from Theo Hernandez. Gets the goal scoring started immediately. What a way to get the show started. I think this changed a lot of things for both teams in this game. I mean, it has to for both teams where a goal gets scored so early. Whatever game plan you had going to the game has to be thrown out the window, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This year was like me and Richard getting into a fight, and the first thing he does is just punches me in the throat. Like okay, now what do you got, right? Everyone's gonna. I
run away.
What was it? Was it Mike Tyson's? Everyone's got a game plan until you get punched in the face, right? So that's exactly what happened in this game here. And there's a thread that maybe we can read into the rest of the matches in this weekend, where some sides struggled in order to overcome their opponents. They were in tough stadiums, and did so nonetheless. But Milan instead makes a statement. Milan goes into Bergamo, one of the most the toughest stadiums that you can play in at the Azzurri d'Italia, and just comes in, scores the first goal. Atalanta's rattled, and to be completely honest, I did not see a huge response. There was a Zapata counter or a Zapata chance to score, and then a second one with Zappacosta.
Yep.
But I did not see this the Atalanta physical onslaught. The Atalanta usually just physically devastates your team. You can't keep up with the pace. You can't keep up with the strength. You just right and it's Milan just tip of the hat. Like you can only call them a pretender for so long. I don't think Milan's a pretender. I think they're the real deal. And until this team owns up to it and they are actually filled with that self-belief, they may only be holding themselves back.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, they said it on the Paramount Plus pregame show where they said, don't look up Milan. They have defense. They can stifle this Atalanta attack. And, Calabria setting the tone as he did. Someone said in the chat, he's one of the guys we've been wondering, when is he going to get the call up to the Azzurri? He's been playing so
Yes.
lights out for the last 2 seasons. You're like, where is this call up? Because you'd imagine he'd be a starting right back for the Azzurri. So a statement like that by him and for Milan is a great way to set the tone for the matchup. Obviously, it changes Pioli's tactics a little bit, but hey, you want to be in the lead? That's a good way to start things, right? So it's a good game by them, a good start for them, I should say. You mentioned Zappacosta and Zapata both had opportunities. Yes. Mike Magnon came up big. He didn't have many chances or opportunities, but he came up huge when he had to. And so the game continued on, and you were wondering who's going to get the next goal. You would imagine that Atalanta would get into it at some point, but they were passing around a little too much here late in the first half, and Freuler loses the ball to Tonali. Tonali doing his best Gattuso impersonation, steals the ball, comes down, scores the goal. 2-0 going into halftime. Great play by Tonali, first of all. He's a guy who's gotten a lot of shtick over the last year and a half. Mostly last season is not living up to his hype. And, I kept trying to tell people, Frank kept trying to tell people that, hey, young players, you got to give them time. They got to acclimate to their new surroundings. Tonali this season is playing way above his level than from last year. And this goal in particular, pushing Freuler out of the way basically and going down and finishing his goal. Wonderful play by him to give Milan the lead there before halftime, 2-0.
Yeah, completely outplayed Atalanta. Again, just that 1-2 punch in the first half. I can't disagree at all with statements like the one that Frank said on Twitter earlier about Tonali and Calabria not being called up to the national team. And we can get into that later on, but those are two players that have shown, based on the beginning of the seasons that they've had, that they fully deserve at least the call up. In Tonali's case, he has a lot of company in the midfield in terms of who would be deserving, with Jorginho being someone who you can't touch, right? And Tonali's doing great, and Pellegrini's having a great start as well, and Locatelli too, right? So it's hard. But in terms of Calabria in the fullback position, why not? I don't understand.
Yeah. Excuse me. There's that Coke kicking in right there. Pete brings a good point. He says young players struggle in Serie A. Give them time. There's very few that acclimate right away. So you got to give the players a lot of time. Milan are starting to get into their flow there. 2-0, going to halftime. Great start for them. A game of this magnitude, you would imagine. 2-0 is it's huge in most games against Atalanta. They can score so fast, they can knock that out in real quick. But still, 2-0. Not many people expected Milan to have that 2-0 lead. If you go into this game, more people than not would probably pick Atalanta to have a 2-0 lead if you pick between the two teams, right? So. Great halftime scoreline for Milan, 2-0. They're just playing very well. Chiar was all over Zapata, no matter where he was on a pitch. Zapata would come to midline to try to get the ball. Who's on his back hip? Chiar. Tamori playing well. Teo Hernandez, I thought, played pretty well. He had 2 assists in this game. Calabria obviously playing well. A guy who has got a lot of stick lately, especially with Milanisti, is Kessie. He's been underperforming. You talked about the Azzurri midfield being strong, as is the Milan midfield. Bennacer, Kessie, they've been locked up in that position for the longest time, and that's why Tonali's been out of it. But now Tonali's playing great. Bennacer's not playing that well, and now Kessie's been playing really poor, especially lately with the contract talks. And many Milanisti have been riding him. But I thought this game in particular, he started gaining back into form. I know someone else in the chat mentioned it as well. Kessie started looking more like his old self there. And for Milan to be successful, I think he needs to be strong in that midfield, both offensively and defensively. Would you not agree?
Against his old team, among other things, right? There's always something special about going back to your old stadium and having that extra motivation to show, this is a good place for me to turn it around, turn around a bit of a negative period. But yeah, for all it seems like a bit of a zero-sum game, doesn't it? For all the better Tonali's doing, his colleagues in the midfield are not pulling their slack now. So it's just you just need that magical game and that magical period when all your team is firing on all cylinders. That just never happens, right?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
But we'll see if Frank Kessie can start a positive streak after tonight's game.
Yeah, Cliff's in the chat asking about Tonali, asking, he's a very good player, but he's not world class. What do I think? I agree. If you look at Serie A, the closest player to being world class in the midfield is Barella. Dybala, an attacking end as well. But Barella is the closest you're going to get. He's not world class yet. He's close. He's the closest. Locatelli will get there probably too. But Tonali is still young. I mean, really, and he's had 8 good games with Milan. It's all this season. You can't. It's too early to call someone world class. World class, you really have to earn it through several years.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, Koulibaly is class in defense. Chiellini obviously as well. But you can't start labeling people world class. People like to throw these titles around like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, they're the GOAT. They're the world class.
Yeah.
You have to have a little bit of history. We're historians. We understand this, but it's a lot of people these days want to just throw labels on things. It's like, calm down.
Yeah.
And I saw a tweet. I'm curious your thoughts on this. Yeah. Someone said, and I think it's one of my people saying, De Ligt is good, but Tomori is better. And I'm like, I love Tomori. I do. But De Ligt was a captain of Ajax at 18, took him to the semifinals of the Champions League. And I'm like, let's look at the big picture here. I love Tomori. He could be phenomenal down the road, but let's pump the brakes.
On any given day, one stock, a penny stock can be better than a blue chip stock, right? But let's all know what the blue chip is and what the penny is. And Tomori is by the way, could have declared for the Canadian national team. And a lot of us, teams of fans of Team Canada are kind of like wringing our hands and biting our fists about that it didn't materialize. But the fact that he is shining in Serie A is a testament to the quality of this player. De Ligt has probably had one of the hasn't had a great start. He didn't have a great Euro. He hasn't had it's been months since he's really shown that level of class. It's part of the maturing process. I think when he comes out of it the other end, he's going to be better than when he was, the 18-year-old captain of Ajax. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, no, I certainly agree with that. And honestly, I don't know if De Ligt or even like Virgil van Dijk are world class. They're just there. They need a couple more years of doing it at the top level, but they're very, very good. I would take them in a heartbeat if I could.
That's something that you usually see or will declare like after a major milestone or towards the end of someone's career. All right, so-and-so was world class, or we can pretty much agree that so-and-so was world class after, they're 28, 29 years old. They're just going to coast until the end and be at that level, no questions asked. Very, very rare players you see, oh, he's 23, he's world class already, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Milan 2-0 lead there going into halftime. Coming out of the break, Milan continue very much the same way. Atalanta, we're starting to get more into the game, creating some more chances, but in the 78th minute, a lovely counterattack being Milan, led by Theo Hernandez. He finds he looks over to Leao. Obviously, Messias was right there trying to get the pass. Smartly leaves it alone because he was offsides. Lets it go. Leao, goal of the week candidate. Wonderful strike, top corner, 3-0. What is going on here? Milan take a huge lead at Atalanta, 3-0. And Milan were looking good, like they were gonna end this game with a resounding win. But it's Atalanta. You can't forget about them. 86th minute. I thought this was a dubious penalty, in my opinion. I'm curious your thoughts. From what I saw, the ball, it was struck. I forget who struck the ball, but it hit Tomori and Messias's feet, and then hit up Messias's arm. Hit his arm. It definitely did, but it hit their feet first and deflected up. In my opinion, from what I know, that's not a foul.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you thought that was a penalty or not.
Yeah, I think every year this.
You can say I'm wrong. That's fine. You can say tell me.
No. I think every year the interpretation of that changes. And if you shook me out of bed at 2 a.m. and you said is foot to hand a penalty shot, I'd say no. So yeah, in terms of that interpretation, that is true. However, the refereeing specialists that intervene on all the most important shows in Italy on soccer will tell you that the specific dynamics of a play, have a big impact on that, and speed and all that stuff. I think the official was trying to to not show off, but just to say, you know what, I can give a penalty here, and it's not going to condition the match.
Yeah,
but we know what happened. Right?
I think the biggest thing of the whole thing, penalty or not, I think my biggest thing I was pissed off about when they went to VAR showed one angle, and that was just the ball hitting the hand. I'm like, showed it like a second before that. Like
that's right, the whole play, right? But, yeah, that's true. It does seem a little disingenuous when you see that, and you're wondering whether the official is seeing the same thing, right? And they can't just roll the tape back, 3, 4, 5, 10 seconds football, and there's nerves, your blood's pumping, you have to make a decision. Everyone's looking at you, looking at the screen, and trying to determine if this is a play or not, if there's a penalty or not.
Sure.
And you just, okay, boom, boom. I saw the hand. Okay, good enough.
Yep.
Penalty.
And Ali Oxenfree is saying the same thing. Can't be a penalty if it was deflection ball to the hand. I agree, but it is what it is. I think what irked me even more is what happened in stoppage time. I think it was a stoppage time. Yes, in fourth minute stoppage time. Yes. Zapata on the right hand side. Benacer flicks it over his head. They're going for the ball. I think it was Benacer. Messias, or who was it? I forget who it was. I was so worked up. They get shoved to the ground, and Messias, and the play continues on. Zapata crosses in the middle, finds Pasalic wide open in the back door, and he's going to put that away past Magnon. 3-2, and you're thinking, oh, here we go. We might have a chance here because it is Atalanta. They can score within a heartbeat. The goal, well, I have no issues with the goal per se, but I think that still was a foul just before that, and non-call there. And VR didn't go to that either, so ultimately didn't matter. Milan won 3-2, ended the shutout opportunity for Milan, but I thought they played well for 85 minutes, and then kind of let Atalanta in it too long. I think the commentator said it in the game that as the game went on and on, Milan started dropping further and further back, and that's the one team, Atalanta, you can't do that against. Right. Unless you have a world-class defense. Here we go, world-class again, which Milan does not. Don't do that. But hey, Milan get the win, escape with a big 3 points. It's big for them because it keeps them in the hunt for the Scudetto. Obviously, we're still early 8 games in, but to keep pace with Napoli, who had won earlier in the day, make that 7 wins in a row for them, which we'll get to. So, closing thoughts on this game, on Milan and their performance against Atalanta at Bergamo.
I think that Milan again made a statement win in Bergamo, one of the toughest places to play. Atalanta is still the product of a rather odd period in their bad start, slow start. Unfortunately, this is a team that has amnesias for quite a long time, and they're not living up to the hype or what they've gotten their fan base and Italian football used to. So, I'm expecting what you call a return, towards the mean. I'm expecting an Atalanta to start to win games again in an emphatic fashion, just as Juventus, for example, has returned to victories. Same goes, I would imagine, with Lazio, that we should see them swing back into that. Some of these teams that have had a slower start, I'm expecting to come back up, and we'll see what happens with the teams that have been perfect so far. And that's an assist for you, Richard.
Right on. Perfect. So now we're going to batch the rest of the games and then talk about 2 of the bigger games of that batch. So starting off, Cagliari hosting Venezia on Friday. Goal scoring started early with Keita in the 19th minute. Nice header, backdoor found wide open. We would not see another goal until the 92nd minute. Busio would get a deflected goal. Goal nonetheless. Venezia and Cagliari share points in that one. Salernitana hosting Genoa on Saturday. We see one goal in this game. It was from Juric. Gets a goal in the 66th minute. They get a surprising win against Genoa. Not that it's surprising that they won, but Genoa, who had been pretty hot lately, scoring 3 goals last week, getting shut out in this one. So impressive result by Salernitana. Sassuolo hosting Inter. Many teams have their bogey teams for Inter. It absolutely is Sassuolo, and Sassuolo got the goal scoring started early in the 22nd minute. Penalty, Jeremy Boga taken down in the box by Skriniar. Berardi steps up, nails the penalty, 1-0. Sassuolo with the lead. They take that lead into halftime. Coming out of the break, Dzeko comes into the match. Instant impact, a beautiful header, goal of the week candidate in the 58th minute. And then another penalty in the 78th where Martinez converts it 2-1. Inter scratch just barely by Sassuolo. A very good game there. Surprise of the weekend, maybe. Bologna hosting Lazio. Goal of the week candidate in the 14th minute. Musa Barro completely just nails a shot from distance, top corner. Just 3 minutes later, Tiete gets a goal header backdoor. Wonderfully done there. 2-0 there before halftime. And then Jerry Mancini's favorite boy, Aaron Hickey, scores a goal against Lazio. 68th minute, 3-0 Bologna with an emphatic win against Lazio, shocking many people on this one. I know Laziale were certainly scratching their heads on this one. Another result that is a little head scratching, but not, maybe it shouldn't be. Hellas Verona, big win, 4-0 against Spezia. Goals by Simeone in the 4th minute, Faraone in the 15th, Caprari, goal of the week candidate in the 42nd minute, and Daniel Bessa in the 71st minute. Big win for Hellas in this one. One of the most entertaining games of the weekend, Sampdoria Udinese. Goal scoring started early, Pereira in the 15th minute. Striger Larsen would get a goal, make it 1-1 in the 24th, an own goal. This would have been goal of the week had Candreva actually scored the goal, but it bounced off the post, hit Striger Larsen, and went back in. So unfortunately, he does not get the goal of the week there, in my eyes. Beto in the 43rd made it 2-1 Udinese. Just outside the break, Quagliarella converted a penalty, made it 2-2. Candreva, a beautiful goal of the week candidate in the 69th. Oh, wonderfully taken.
What a strike.
Made it 3-2 Sampdoria. Looked like they may win this, but then Forestieri in the 82nd minute made it 3-3. They share the spoils. 2 games go. Big game. Fiorentina hosting Napoli. Obviously, Fiorentina is playing much better this year, making it much more difficult for the teams above. They get the goal scoring started early through Martinez Corta. Wonderfully play off a set piece where Vlahovic, instead of shooting on goal, looks for a teammate, finds that teammate Corta, and Corta puts it away 1-0. Now Fiorentina take the lead. And then a penalty gets called. Insigne steps up to take it. Saved by Dragowski. Dragowski and Insigne clash trying to get that loose ball, and then ultimately Lozano puts it away in the 39th minute. 1-1 going into halftime. Outside of the break, Rahmani would get the game-winning goal in the 50th minute. A very highly contested game that went both ways. Both keepers forced to make saves. Napoli get the 3 points, 2-1 on the road. And to round out the batch, Roma hosting Empoli. Pellegrini back into the lineup in this one, and he would get the goal scoring started in the 42nd minute. Very well taken by him. And then in the 48th minute, Mkhitaryan made it 2-0. So those are the games. Let's jump to the Fiorentina-Napoli game. A very highly contested game. I thought this was going to be a big game because obviously we know who Napoli are, but Fiorentina have been playing much better again under Vincenzo Italiano this season, and they've looked like they may be a European hopeful this year. What are your thoughts on Fiorentina?
Yeah, they've surprised. They've had a surprising start in a positive way. Rocco Commisso shaking things up over there in Florence. Okay. He always says that. I watched some of those videos just for the laughs. But you know, very very humble and smart and smart man. Good for him. You know, like Florence has finally become again a place where one fears going into and playing. Even though they lost the match, as you mentioned, in today against Napoli, and the one in against Inter. They made their opponents sweat for that, and really it came down to episodes. In the first half in both of those matches, of course, every game has a story unto itself. But in the first half, Fiorentina was the team that held play. And to be completely honest, going into half with a 1-1 score was, I think, it was really like Napoli scored against the run of play there. It was just purely episodic. They could have, Fiorentina had Napoli in their own end for most of the first half and came away with 1 goal. Should have come away with more. So, good on Fiorentina. That's a team very much like Torino, like we were talking earlier, is one that I would expect to rise up to maybe 7th, to fight for a Europa Conference League spot.
No, I agree about that. And I think, it's rare teams can outpossess Napoli. And I thought Fiorentina did an excellent job of this. Some people mentioned on Twitter how Vlahovic was a little inconsistent in this game. I mean, he did very well on the first goal that Quarta scored, but yeah, it's Fiorentina dictating a lot of the play. You like to see what Vincenzo Italiano is doing with his club, making them very dangerous. And I think this team hopefully will continue to build with Vincenzo Italiano, and hopefully they can become back into the Europa League and Champions League conversations, because that's how we remember them, right? Batti goal back in the day. We were talking about in pre-show.
Yeah.
So those are days their fans are longing for, and we as historians long for, because Fiorentina is one of those great clubs you just love watching play, right? So hopefully they get there. They're still young, they're still learning, but they made Napoli fight for everything. Napoli got punched in the mouth early. We keep talking about punching. This podcast.
It's a violent show. It's a violent show.
It's spitting chiclets. I don't know. But Napoli forced to fight their way back, and they did. And this is a team. It's a good sign of a club if they want to be a Scudetto contender or a winner, you have to be able to take adversity and come back from it. And Napoli are doing it this season under Spalletti. Obviously, the way they've done it. Osimhen, as someone mentioned in the chat, he's so important for what they do. Right. Last year we saw glimpses of it. He got injured for long stretches, so it was hard to. It really hurt Napoli there, but. He's so dynamic in what he does. You see his speed early, beginning, middle, end of the game. It affects the defenders, and he got the penalty because of that. They took him down. They had no choice. That's why Insigne got the penalty there. And so that's his asset. He's so skillful. His vision is great, and all his complements that are around him, that midfield and those other attackers, they all fit each other so well. I think this Napoli team will go down to the wire in terms of the Scudetto hunt this year.
I think we're in for Napoli fans are in for a happening season, one in which we'll see Napoli make them talk about Napoli, make Napoli fans talk about their great years in the mid 80s and late 90s and late 80s, early 90s as well. But the one question with Napoli this year is how will they manage the African Nations Cup when the African Nations Cup starts, where basically their entire spine, from Koulibaly, Anguissa, and up top Osimhen are all going to be gone, playing on international play. So. I don't know if we're gonna see, and in Italian we say it's not good to think ill, but sometimes you guess right. I don't know what De Laurentiis has up his sleeve, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some shenanigans there. That's gonna be a very tough moment to manage. I think it's about they'll miss 4 league games and maybe the odd cup game in between. So it will be interesting to see how Napoli manages that. This is a team that's perfect right now, 7-0, and they've gone. You just don't see any team stopping them. But that said, they haven't exactly shined every single moment of every single game. They went down, they fought back, and if you're gonna win, championship teams win games that they really kind of don't exactly deserve to, even if they don't deserve to. They came back, had a great second half. They probably deserve the win anyway. But based on what you saw in the first, you're like, there's no way that Napoli's going to win this game.
Exactly.
They find a way to win. So hats off to them. Fantastic performance by Napoli. Let's see if they can keep it up. I'm sure all your Napoli followers are it's a good thing they're not on the screen. I'm sure they're doing stuff, touching wood and something else. I don't know.
Absolutely. I thought Milan would be affected a lot by AFCON with Bennacer and Kessie gone, but you mentioned the spine of Napoli are gone and under an AFCON unless De Laurentiis has his way. That's going to be a big hit. Napoli do have a good midfield. So I mean, you take Anguissa out, you still have Fabian, you still have Elmas in there, you got Deme, you got some players there. But it's obviously going to hurt to lose him and lose. Obviously, Osimhen's going to be big, and Koulibaly as well. So we'll see what comes with them. But I think both these clubs are going to see some good things this year. Good result for Napoli. Obviously, they're still at the top of the table with this win. Another big game I want to talk about: SassuoloInter.
Yes.
You heard about Handanovic maybe should have got a red card and get out of this game. There was a penalty for Inter in the 78th that people left their heads scratching. I'm curious in your thoughts because Consigli comes out, he takes out Dzeko, and a penalty is awarded to Inter. Obviously, many people thought it wasn't a penalty. What was your view of that play?
If I was a Sassuolo fan, I just want to shoot him. I think he's to blame on both goals. To be completely, and not to take away from Dzeko's header, but really in that situation, Consigli should be coming out diagonally to intercept that ball. You don't just watch. You don't just watch a cross just come right in front of you, and allow that to come in. The player,
he knows better too. He knows better.
He knows better. And when it comes to the penalty shot, I mean, what a naive play! Like to come off his line, and it's one thing coming off your line, and then actually getting your body in the way, and what he was trying to pull there,
tackling him,
really unnecessary.
What are you doing?
Like, even if you just scare him, like boo, like, oh, he's coming on to me, let me just back up. You have players that are following through that can hold him up, that can hold up Dzeko, contain, and then you can get back into goal, right? But he just disastrous, just absolutely disastrous, and in such a at such a fragile point in the match, it just the wrong thing at the wrong time. Actually, I would say twice. Consigli is much better than that. I think he's a great goalkeeper. He's a mid-table goalkeeper. He knows his stuff, but I think he hit his high, but that's it. Like that's as good as it gets for Consigli, and he's gonna be better than this year, I think.
He's a long-haired John Hamm, right? Really good goalkeeper, really good keeper. But yeah, he completely tackles Dzeko, and it was certainly a penalty in my book. I mean, I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Maybe people thinking Consigli got paid off to do that. I don't know, but that's a penalty.
I said that. I think I tweeted that. I said I was just wondering, is he on the take? Like, why would you do that? Yeah. But Handanovic, that one there, the could have been a possible red. 50-50. To be honest, it's one of those where had he gotten a red, all of Inter fans would have complained. Had he didn't get one, it could have really gone either way. Yeah. All the soccer analytics or analysis and banter kind of shows in Italy are basically split 50-50 down the line in terms of whether they believe it should have been a red and it was a foul or not. So it's one of those. It's one of those.
Before I get to Handanovic, in the last game we talked about, you could argue that Corta could have been taken off for the red card when he took down Osimhen in the box as well, because he was the last defender there before it got to Dragowski. So, you have those 50-50 calls there where it could be red, could be yellow. Many people were screaming that Handanovic should have been sent off. I actually missed this play because I actually walked out of the room. I come back and then I see everything Twitter go buzz. So I missed the play. Did you catch the play where everyone's screaming about Handanovic?
Yes. So Defrel basically was sent alone on goal, and Handanovic comes out of the box and makes himself big and makes his size count. There were some images that show the elbow. His elbow was exposed, but he wasn't looking, and he caught him, among other things. So you're stopping someone on a sogo, like a chance, like a chance score, goal scoring opportunity, and like that's textbook. As I said, analysts have just put that out there, and some are saying yay, some are saying nay. It depends. Some of them are most of them are former officials, match officials. So of course they like to defend the refereeing class.
Yep.
But it's one of those ones where the shirt matters, and when it's Inter's goalie, a lot of Interisti happen to be defending the referee's decision in this case, while the rest of the league is like, I think that he got away with one there, and that's probably where I'm at. So,
okay, no, I like it. I like it. I'll have to definitely go back and look at this, look at the play, because I like I said, I just happened to walk out of the room and come back, and I go on Twitter. I'm like, what did I just miss? And Paramount Plus for me, I can't rewind, which sucks. So I missed it. Anyway, so It's hard to judge. Usually we want to really scrutinize, how Inter doing these games, but this is very much a derby-like game for them because this is their bogey team. Inter always struggle against Sassuolo, no matter what, whether it's De Zerbi or whomever. They always struggle against Sassuolo. They also with Di Francesco back in the day as well. So it's hard to really judge Inter and how good they are or may not be because of this game, because it seems every team has their bogey team. Every team in the world has their bogey team, and it's a team that you think is playing on this level. They play the bogey team and they look like this. You're like, what's going on? You can't really judge them. So it's something mentally, I don't know. What do you make of, is it something in the water? What has Sassuolo done to get in the heads of Inter and even Milan to an extent, but mostly Inter? They're completely baffled every time they play.
I think playing in Sassuolo over the years has become, it's the way they're not your typical team that has sat back. De Zerbi was a pupil of I think Di Francesco, and Di Francesco was a pupil of Zeman. And anyone who knows Zdenek Zeman knows that he was an open and all-out attack, kind of coach, and really liked his champagne football, and would win games often, 7-2 or this kind of thing, or 5-3. It wasn't unusual to see those kinds of score lines. So he trained his pupils to play that kind of, inspired to that kind of open and attacking thing. They often concede, they often lose, but in the process, sometimes they'll surprise a team like that. So an Inter who's used to, or a Milan or a Juve, who's used to just sitting on top of a team and, trying to find the spaces and, like getting a penalty, getting a call or a free kick outside the box and converting that, kind of scratching through a win. That's not what they experience when they play Sassuolo, who's more open and will hit you back in open play. I remember a Juventus Sassuolo game where Juventus was up, I think 3-1, and they came back with a vengeance and tied the game up 3-3.
Yep.
I think Juve, Milan, and Inter fans all have their Sassuolo nightmares, but probably mostly the Milan fans.
Yes, and I think I especially think Inter this week too, because they faced them twice in a way, because they faced De Zerbi early in the week, and Shakhtar. And Shakhtar's another bogey team for them, and De Zerbi's on that team. So, I mean, double bazinga for Inter this week.
No, good call, well spotted.
Yeah, so bogey team nonetheless, but Inter find a way to get 3 points for them. Big for them. They currently sit third in the table, 2 points behind Milan, and 4 points behind Napoli. My math is not so good these days. From the rest of the batch, anything you in particular want to talk about?
Just a shout out to Igor Tudor, who was an assistant, one of the assistant coaches to Pirlo last year at Juventus, even though there are stories about that, and he's probably on the margins of the assisting Pirlo. And he seems to have hit in his stride with Hellas Verona and getting results. This is basically his third coaching stint after he started at Hajduk, and then Udinese, up and downs.
Yep.
And then last year I already mentioned, and now at Hellas he seems to be hitting his stride, beating Roma first, and now this convincing win against Spezia. I want to see more. It may just be a bit of a new coach comes in kind of effect, and then it may mellow out as the season wears. So shout out to him. Fantastic strike by Candreva in Sampdoria's game. Just the absolute thriller, 3-3. And it's the same second week in a row where we see good stuff happens in Genoa, like tons of goals over there. And I'll end off by saying that Serie keeps on giving and keeps on giving spectacle in terms of goals. It's not open season on penalty shots like it was a few years ago with goals galore coming from the spot. It's goals in open play, and this flies in the face of all those who talk about a boring league with a lot of staunch defending and 0-0 matches. 100%. A team who, you mentioned this with Sassuolo, how
they had been like a fun bad team. Well, this year's fun bad team is Bologna, and Bologna, either they're going to give up a lot of goals or score a lot of goals. Sometimes it's both. And this one, they really surprised Lazio with their 3-0 win. Obviously, the goal scoring started early with Musa Barrow, a great way to start the game. But Mihailovic's men, when they're on, they play very attractive football. It's just for them the inconsistencies, and they're the fun bad team of this year. I think that Lazio had a trap game after their big European game victory this midweek. So, I don't know. I'm sure this is a blip in the radar, but again, Bologna is a shock of the weekend for me, just because no one saw this come. You thought it'd been a competitive match in that, but 3-0. It wasn't even. It didn't seem that close. It seemed closer than it was. Honestly, Lazio losing Immobile is going to hurt, not only for Lazio but also for the Azzurri. Obviously, whenever Morici plays, it's never a good thing, right? They're missing the days. They're ruining the days that they had Felipe Caicedo. I digress.
That's a good call. That's a good call. And also, we know that Bologna, Lazio had the misfortune of playing Bologna, a Bologna side that was rested during the week, unlike Lazio, who played on Thursday, and also a Bologna side that was heavily criticized for their last game. And there's a lot of buzz in Bologna about that. And Mihailovic must have given his players the extra special treatment over the week and really got them focused up. And Lazio with a more open play, Sarri kind of more open play. It was the perfect recipe and the perfect storm for this kind of very lopsided and convincing win for Bologna against Lazio.
Make sure I turn my mic back on after muting it. Last game I want to talk about for me, and just really briefly, Cagliari, you feel for them. It feels like they're never going to get their first win. I know George is in the chat. This is a team that has talent, and now Mazzarri's there, and you're hoping that he can kind of ignite this thing. There's some good players there, some good pieces, front to back, or maybe middle to front. But for whatever reason, they can't get a win. And Venezia, you thought would have been a great opportunity to do that. They get the early lead. They should have scored more goals. They didn't, and it came back to bite them. Can Mazzarri turn this team around? I thought when they first got hired, they're going to turn around, but we haven't seen it yet, and it's been a couple weeks now. Should we still hold off on the panic button on Cagliari?
I think Cagliari has had that historical kind of, it's an island team. Like it's a team out there, and something happens when you.
It's difficult to play there.
It's
difficult to play there.
It's a little difficult to play there. It's the water. It's the pride.
The grappa.
It's something. It's the sheep's milk. They have something special over there. And I have a good friend actually who lives in Turin, who's a big Cagliari fan of all things, Davide. So I just want to say a shout out to him, to my friend Davide. And I do watch the games with a bit of sympathy, and sympathizing for Cagliari, low key doing that. And I know they're a team that are going to turn around. They're going to find their stride, and they'll go on a nice little streak, just enough to get out of the relegation zone.
Yeah, George, if you're still listening, hang in there, buddy. The Cagliari is going to get a win here these days, okay? They're not as bad as Salernitana. I hope not. All right, so goals of the week. You're the guest. You want to take a shot at your top 5?
So I actually selected 3.
Okay.
The 3 that I noticed that really spoke to me were Caprari's goal, very similar to Musa Barrow's curler.
Absolutely.
And that's number 2. And the top one for me was Candreva, just that rocket and just the way it curled at the end and just went to wipe the cobwebs off the corner there. It was just perfect.
That was a great strike, and it absolutely was. Let's see, my top 5. Coming number 5 is Dzeko's header for the assist from Perisic. Overall, great play there.
Great. Good header.
Number 4, Caprari's coming number 4 for me. Candreva's goal from distance was number 3 for me. Musa Bar at number 2. Had Candreva scored on that play earlier where Striker Larsen got the own goal, that would have been number 1 for me this week. But he didn't score, so my number 1 is going to be, this is a homer pick, Rafael Leao. He's coming to his own this season in a wonderfully taken ball. Top corner with such power and pace. That's my number one there. So, but a lot of good goals this weekend. So there's George says, I'm hanging, but gosh, it's tough to watch, Scaletti. I feel you, man. I feel you. All right. Let's transition now to the Azzurri. There it is. Okay, there we go. Now it's on the screen. Let me make it a full screen here so everybody can see. All right, let's go through the names real quick, and then we can talk a little bit about each of the positions. So in goal, we have Donnarumma, Meret, and Sirigu. Defenders, we have Acerbi, Bastoni, Bonucci, Chiellini, Di Lorenzo, Emerson, and Toloi. In the midfield, we have Barella, Cristante, Jorginho, Locatelli, Pellegrini, Pessina, and Verratti. In the attack, Berardi, Bernardeschi, Chiesa, Immobile. Hold on, that's out. Insigne, Raspadori. What we found out is that Immobile got injured this week, so he's out. Moise Kean is in. So let's go at position by position on our thoughts. Starting with the goal, obviously Donnarumma is a lock, but Meret and Sirigu. Are you okay with Sirigu being inserted there?
Sure. I'm not completely sure about Meret, to be completely honest. I don't think he's had enough. I think overall, in terms of goalkeepers, but also this is true with the rest of the convocati this time around, of the call-ups this time around, is the fact that I'm left with the distinct impression that Mancini wants to preserve the group.
Yes,
he made group selections. He tried to privilege those who led him to the win, the Euro win, just a couple of months ago. So, and that probably explains some of the head scratchers in this mix. It basically is the same team that he brought to Euro 2020 or 2021, if you will, except Pellegrini. So I think for that reason, Sirigu whispering in Donnarumma's ear before penalty shootouts, that's kind of why we see him here. Meret is a backup.
You need a veteran.
Yeah, and Meret is a backup. He's Napoli's backup. There are other choices there. Cragno, for example, would not have been a terrible choice. And really, what is the harm in bringing a third goalie like that? None.
I agree 100% with you. I guess so there were some other injuries this weekend. Toloi is out. Calabria is finally in. Pessina was injured during the Milan game, and Tonali is in. Interesting.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. I like that. So let's go to the defenders. I really don't have any issues with any of these guys. Acerbi, he got a red this weekend in the 3-0 loss. All within a double yellow within a couple seconds for mouthing off the referee, but that's withstanding. Bastoni is obviously great. Bonucci, Chiellini, obviously. Di Lorenzo has been playing well. Emerson's been playing well lately, and obviously Calabria. Someone says even bring Buffon back, and why not? Thoughts on the defense? I think it's fairly straightforward for me. I can't think of anyone. There's some couple players I probably want to bring in there. Maybe DiMarco would get a call up. Trying to think who else maybe good.
Great shout. And that's a very astute observation. And I should.
Zappacosta will get one before the season's end. Watch.
Yeah, and he's been coming off that bench, often coming off that bench and making a difference, and being a protagonist, providing assists. He is. I've been impressed. I've been impressed with him. I've followed him when he was over at Hellas. I knew he was out there on loan, and interesting. But I guess injuries make things right for Mancini in terms of call-ups. Now with Calabria coming on to replace Toloi, I think he can offer a different option on that same flank. It's just unfortunate that we don't have that kind of redundancy, let's call it, on the left flank, where other than Emerson, I don't really see anyone who can play that in that position. And even at that, Emerson is a far cry from Spinazzola, who of course is still injured.
Yeah. And if Baraghi starts playing well this season, he may get a call up as well. Who knows? And
that would be a good one as well, as well as DeMarco, as you said.
All right, moving on to the midfield, Barella, Cristante, and all that. Really, the only thing if Pessina wasn't injured, I would have said Cristante out, Tonali in my opinion, because I haven't seen much of Cristante to warrant a position lately. Barella's a lock, Jorginho, Locatelli, locks, Verratti's lock, Pellegrini a lock in my opinion as well. This midfield, as you mentioned, is so deep, and Mancini really has the spoils in this position. Really, he has basically two sets of three midfielders that he could put out there anytime. It feels like. Obviously, Pessina's out injured, but the midfield, I think, is straight up. Is anyone missing that you think maybe should get inserted into this?
Well, with Tonali coming in, no, not really. It's hard enough already for Mancini. Let's give him a break. It's unfortunate that Pessina did get injured or is not ready, because and even though that would have kept one of Tonali, who we've been advocating for all episode long, Pessina is really the X factor here. He's someone I recall like alla Giaccherini back in 2012, who can get between the lines and really shake things up and break the ice. And you just can't figure out why. Or Perrotta back in 2006, just that X factor. So we'll see him again when he returns. So hold on to your hats, everyone. I agree. Cristante is not your flashy, sexy kind of midfielder, and he's often afforded chances when you wouldn't even think it. You're like, why is he bringing him on, right? Why is he bringing Cristante on instead of Locatelli or Pellegrini or whomever else was on the bench? It really does gets me scratching my head. He must be bring the technical aspect to balance out the side.
Maybe. I like it. Interesting. I like that thought. All right, now looking at the attackers, this has been obviously like Mancini likes to bring in the guys that he's comfortable with, obviously. Berardi's been very good. Bernardeschi plays better for the Azzurri than he is for Juventus. Chiesa is just phenomenal. Immobile, he's out. Moise Kean is in, which I love to see that. Insigne, obviously, and Raspadori, who's more than deserving. The only person I would say missing from this maybe is Caputo, because I think he's deserved it over the last couple of years. But besides that, I like this attacking grouping here of strikers here. So what are your thoughts on the strikers here? Obviously no Belotti, but he's injured, so that was never going to be an issue.
Right. So, I mean, there's such a dearth of appropriate strikers for us that is, at least with respect to how they perform in the national team, that it's hard to say, okay, now that Ken's in and Immobile is out because of injury, it's hard to say, like, okay, who else would you have really brought in, unless you're digging back to 30-plus-year-olds, like you said, Caputo or Quagliarella, dare I say, or someone or someone really young like Scamacca, who has struggled, I think, to really make room for himself at Sassuolo. And in the meantime, he's been unseated by Raspadori, who can also be a bit of an X factor in this game. Just keep an eye on him. There was a situation against Switzerland where we had a free kick outside the box, and I remember seeing Raspadori miss a goal for Sassuolo on a free kick in the same spot by this much, and sure enough, Bonucci takes it instead back to the national team. He takes the penalty, the free kick instead, and it sails way above the goal. So he's someone who could be a bit of a factor here, and I think he's going to get more playing time than we think. I think a lot of pundits might be like, okay, it's going to be Chiesa and Berardi, or Chiesa and Insigne, and then someone else. I wouldn't be surprised to see Raspadori come on and maybe, I don't know, start. If not in these matches, in the World Cup qualifiers, I could definitely see him do that.
Yeah, and this is, for those who don't know, this is the semifinals of the Nations League, and it is against Spain. So it's gonna be a big game here. I was trying to find the lineups for Spain, and I just found it. Bear with me 1 second. Here we go. Boom. So the Spanish squad includes Unai Simon, De Gea, Sanchez, Pedro Porro, Azpilicueta, Laporta, Eric Garcia, Martinez, Pau Torres, Rigollon, Alonso, Rodri, Busquets, Gavi, Koke, Merino, Pedri, Llorente, Jeremy, Torres, Aida Sarbal, Fornal Sarabia, and obviously their managers, Luis Enrique. This is a tough team. It's going to be interesting. This has been a big rivalry over the years, especially over the last decade.
Yeah.
Spain is a team that dominates possession. But what we've learned from this Azzurri team is that they don't back down for anybody. And this midfield is world class together, especially when it's Jorginho, Verratti, and Barella, right? They're so phenomenal together. Defense is strong. This is going to be a heavyweight bout. It's going to come down to, it's going to be a close game. Obviously, a 1-goal game difference. And I think this one, unless it goes into penalties or something, which it very well could be. What do you think is going to happen in this game against Spain?
I watched the Sogno Azzurro, which is, Azzurro Dream, was a Rai Uno production, basically a documentary of Italy's path to the eventual victory of the Euro. And they showed some of the technical meetings that they have before the game, before the matches. And in each one, it was almost as if Mancini predicted, like he has such a clear read of the match. And he actually called, like, this game is going to be harder. Like the Austria game, he said, is going to be harder than the Belgian game. And why is this relevant? Is because he said, we were about to face Spain. He said, Spain, this and this. And he's like, you see what they do here and how they bring the ball around and this and that. And he said, you'll see that in the World Cup, it's going to be us and Spain that are going to go deep and they're going to play it. We're going to be the protagonists in the World Cup. You'll see. And sure enough, Spain was basically the toughest game. Yeah. They, even though they were not in good shape in terms of physical, they weren't like physically, like Italy was on a roll. They had gas in the tank. They had subs. They were deep. We did well. Spain was in shambles. They won 2 or 1 in one game within the 90 minutes, and the rest they all tied, and they had to go to extra time or penalties in order to go through. And despite of that, they gave us a really, really tough time. Yeah, I have no idea how this match is going to go. I wouldn't be surprised. It is in Italy, so it will be played in Milan. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to extra time.
I agree. It has extra time written all over it. Probably has penalties written all over it.
Or beyond 90 minutes. Now, like, I'm sure, like, I don't have the Nations League rules in my back pocket, but if there's no extra time, then pardon me, it would go to penalties. It's going to go beyond the 90 minutes plus stoppage.
Yeah, I agree. It has written all over. I mean, these two teams are going to be factors for the next several tournaments, I think, going forward in terms of European play. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a good game. We'll see who wins, and the final is on the 10th. So, if Italy is the Azzurri are victorious in this, they'll move on to the finals, obviously. So, yeah, big game. We'll see. At the beginning, I think we all scoffed at the whole Nations League idea, and that's taking it serious, this and that. But hey, we're all tuning in, right? Especially now being the European champions. Why not? So. We'll see.
It sucks that Italy has to defend something, even though they're not Nations League champions, but they have to defend that honor so early, right? And they just at least let us ride it out until the next World Cup, which is going to be 15 months out anyway, right? Like, we can't even boast that now. So we have to go out and we have to beat Spain and we have to win the final in order to carry that forward and say, wow, look at that. A couple of trophies all of a sudden.
And if that wasn't it, now Italy has to play against Argentina because they're doing the whole Conan Bowl versus UEFA thing, the conference championship. So Argentina is the champion of South America versus the champions of Europe. So they're playing each other soon as well. So you just got to show it off.
The World Cup winners and Asian.
If Italy come out of both these games victorious, both tournaments victorious, if they're not number one, something's seriously wrong with the rankings. But we already knew there was something wrong with the rankings. I think USA or Canada might be ranked in the top 10 for all I know. Sorry, I'm taking shots at you. US sucks.
That's all good. We'll talk after Canada beats the US next time when they come up.
That's a sure right there. All right. Well, now the Azzurri is wrapped up. Let's move on to everyone's favorite hashtag game, obviously with the help of Zio here. Who won Calcio Twitter? Is this your first one with us? The first one in a long time. I don't think you were been with us when we've done Who Won Calcio.
No, this is brand new. What are the rules?
Okay, so for those who are new to this, as Zio is, so Who Won Calcio Twitter, we asked people to do the tag us, which is with the hashtag, for the best takes, comedic takes throughout the week. And each week we pick a winner. End of the year, we do the best tweets, all the ones that won, and the winner gets a prize. But this is week 8 here, week 7. So everyone just tags us in these tweets, and then we read them out, and we pick the winner from tonight. So we're gonna go through all of them tonight for the last week, and then we'll pick a winner.
Let's rock and roll.
All right. So the first one comes from Big Show _Nerazzurri says. So the original tweet is you see Icardi and Gigio Donnarumma down here. He goes, "These guys were 2 of the best players in Italy, and were going to be club legends, and left to sit on a bench in Paris, all because of money."
Good one.
Good one. Very good. All right. Next one comes from Kier Palulu at Alessio. Finally, some real action for Gigio playing football.
Nice.
All right, good.
Well, he in all to his defense, he did play
pretty well against City. Yeah.
This one was one last week here in
absolutely. No, absolutely. All right, let's see. Nick from the Calcio guys copies us on this one. So Gianna Delacalia, also of the Calcio guys, says, me, hey mom, can we have Rodrigo Bentancur? Her. We already have Rodrigo Bentancur in Quebec. The Rodrigo Bentancur in Quebec. Riviera Becancourt. All right. Close enough. All right, here we go. Next one from Anthony from Sempre Milan says, the top show watched by Serie fans according to Paramount Plus. Explains a lot. Paramount Plus is what we have in the States. And the number one videos are Paw Patrol and Survivor. Says a lot about the fans.
Wow. Where's the Venn diagram on that? Like,
I know, right?
Like, it just doesn't intersect.
All right, Uncle Sharma tags us in this one, and this one comes from at Brisingar. It's Bernardeschi al calcio d'inizio the Juventus. It's Bernardeschi before Juventus Chelsea.
Yeah, Bernardeschi kicking off Juventus Chelsea. Oh my goodness.
This is the leader in the clubhouse right now.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's good.
I don't know if it's right that I'm laughing at that. Man.
If you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at, right?
Right.
Napoli Sansoni is back from his hiatus and says, Joaquin Correa, since he scored that brace in his Inter debut, Immobile with his Azzurri shirt on.
Right.
No goals.
Right. Yeah. Basically do nothing. Mm-hmm.
All right. Next one comes from at that Milan fan. Atalanta lost the first 2 games in their Champions League group 2 years ago and made it out. It ain't over till the chubby lady moans. In reference to Milan's 2 losses to start off their Champions League campaign. All right, this one was pretty funny. The guy actually changed his name, but Mohamed Garib originally was his name was said UEFA Europa League, and it said Ciao Inter. Yeah. And then he also did the same thing for Milan as well. Ciao Milan.
That was good.
It was good. It got a lot of people. All right. So the original tweet was European cricket and Italy beats England in cricket. And Uncle Sharma is laughing and says, even at cricket, they can't bring it home.
That's a good one.
Nice. All right. So after Lazio beat Roma, it's Zaniolo singing Pedro.
Yeah, Roma. That's right.
Nice Photoshop where he's doing the little gesture grab there that Mancini scolded him for. Let's see. Oh, lost it. Get back here. All right. Let me find Zaniolo again. I was so excited by Zaniolo. I got discombobulated there. All right. Back to the action here. Lukaku trying to keep up with Bonucci and De Ligt in Champions League. This is rated R, folks. Sorry.
Oh my goodness. Stay off drugs, folks.
Oh my God. This is in London.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, everyone had to see that. I had to see this, so y'all had to see that. So, so this one I pulled up from Facebook, but nonetheless, I thought it was funny. So Milan lost after a controversial penalty to Atleti, and so someone pulled up the Wikipedia and says the referee is a Turkish football referee, uncle of Hakan Çalhanoğlu, who served in the Turkish Super League. It's not true, but someone went to Wikipedia and edited that real quick. I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I love that.
Frank went off on that guy, by the way. Anyway, Cliff Asmoyal pointed us in direction of this. This comes from Juventino Lou. It says Allegri tonight, Dancing with the Stars after beating Chelsea.
Oh yeah, with the tango.
That's right.
He needs Dybala to tango.
Absolutely.
We'll save that one for next time.
All right, next one comes in from Ahmad Al-Hadar. It says, Max Allegri after the famous Chiellini sub in the 83rd minute.
I love it.
we're old enough to know this cartoon, so.
Wow. And it's pretty accurate. I mean, the stripes are horizontal, not vertical. But otherwise, perfect.
Oh, that's great. Rete This Way podcast says, to underscore Federico Chiesa's impact in the Champions League, since his competition debut last season, Chiesa has scored 5 goals. Inter as a team have scored 7. Brunch. All right. This one has to have the sound on. This goes back to Spalletti back in his Zenit, just going off on the reporter about what emotion. So Spartak, after beating Inter, came back, or after beating Napoli, came back and said, ma che emozione.
No, wow.
Taking a shot at Spalletti. But Uncle Sharma with the picture.
Right, that's right. Oh, good call. Good one.
Yeah, that's great. All right. Nick, again, from the Calcio guys, pointed us in direction of this one. So Art Vandelay with this one. So the original tweet was Johnny Kim, age 37, changed career 3 times, achieved Navy SEAL, Harvard doctor, NASA astronaut. Art Vandelay says, not impressed. Cuadrado has played right wing, right back, striker, center back, mezzala, trequartista, regista, and falsa nueva.
Oh, wow. Art Vandelay, great recall to Seinfeld.
Absolutely.
Is he an architect?
He is. All right. This one comes from Gillis15. Says, are you ready for the weekend? Jerry Mancini got all your teams covered. Jerry had good fun with that one too. So you should read the comments on that one. All right. Alex Dono. And the Oscar goes to Juan Cuadrado.
Oh, because of the foul, right?
Yep.
He tried to sell a foul in the box. I think it was a foul, by the way.
He's taking lessons from Theo Hernandez. No, fair, hey, fair. All right, Savios Falahi says, referees clearly against Inter. Sending off Handanovic would clearly help the team. Gutted.
Awesome.
Love when Inter take shot at their own fans. All right, next one. It's not really who on Calcio Twitter. It's more like who on Ligue on Twitter. But Nice versus Brest. The obvious one, Nice Brest.
It's that one game a year in that order.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Or like with in Serie A, when Cagliari hosts Atalanta, it says cagata.
Right. And remember what they did last year? They only for that one game they dropped the third letter in each of those 2 acronyms. So it just says Ka-at. Yeah, it's true. It's true. But Nice Brest is a nice compliment, I guess.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it's lost in translation in French, but
maybe. We'll see. Look it up.
I'm sure it is.
All right. Milan Vikings says Gotti is the most underrated manager in Serie A. Udinese's results have improved so much since he took charge and has managed to avoid relegation despite many predicting the club wouldn't manage to stay up, and saying how people overlook him. That's a good tweet. Not funny, but I agree. So those are all the ones from this week. What is your winner?
I just go by the one that got the biggest spike for me, and that was the Bernardeschi. The kicking off Juve Chelsea. It just had a ridiculous. It was just a ridiculous image, to be honest, and nothing to do with brides or with people who wear those dresses.
There it is.
It's just just look at it. It's just a hilarious what, and then of course
runs off the pitch. Oh, the false 9 worked. Almost fell.
Wow. She managed that in heels. So
yeah,
good on her.
So I agree. I'll go with you with that. Ad Brizingar wins this week's Who on Calcio Twitter. Looks like it's the first victory for them. Bernardeschi al calcio d'inizio de Juventus Chelsea. All right, very good.
Good reading.
Oh man, thank you. I've been butchering Italian here just as good as Stevie P does over at Milan Weekly Podcast. Let's give him a shout. I love him. He does better than me. So, okay. All right. Let's see what the chat says. The chat said, "Nice breast reminds me of Le Tits now." SNL Jeopardy on SNL. I'll take Le Tits for. Anyway, I digress. All right. So. Let's put a bow on this one. It's been long enough. Your chance to plug anything you want. Tell the Calcio community here where they can find you on Twitter or social media.
Right here. This is my Twitter account. I'm on. I like to talk Serie A mostly, and I try my best to keep it exclusively at that. Just hit me up. I'll follow you back. Let's have fun. Let's be civil to one another. Let's understand that this is, for the most part, 22 millionaires wearing underwear, running up and down the field, trying to give us a little bit of distraction.
Yep.
And give us a little bit of fun in the meantime. But in the meantime, let's be civil to one another.
Absolutely. And I think that's what Hogan Calcio Twitter is all about, is having fun. Not really, we don't read the tweets that degrade people and stuff like that. It's all about bringing the community together, right?
Totally.
And a transition that I did not at all write. Speaking of transition, we as a podcast are trying to bring the Calcio community together and really bring people together, get everyone's perspectives involved. That's why we try to talk about all the teams. And so we're trying to start this new segment now where we bring in fans after the big matchups each weekend and have their say. We're going to share it on Twitter and on YouTube, really promote these other creators around so most people can look at them, right? We want to spread the love around for everyone in the Calcio community. So you'll start seeing that more and more by us. We'll start, if we reach out to you, you want to reach out to us because you want to, share a quick reaction. And we're talking about 5 minutes and under. If you want to just DM us either on Serie Sitdown, or you can follow my handle right there. You can DM me. Let me know. Just something for us to try to bring the community together and really shine lights on other creators out there who follow all sorts of Serie A teams. So just putting that out there right there. So as always, you can follow me at R_KHARMAN. Frank and I will not be here during the Nations League because our tradition during European Championships is we did not do it then. We won. So we're going to continue that. No podcast until Serie A picks back up. So,
good call.
Frank, you can follow him at FTC_21. You can follow us YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Our podcast can be found everywhere. Make sure you listen to all that. Follow World Football Index as well. Great content out there for all kinds of calcio, all soccer, everything, football, whatever you want. So, for Rocco, for Frank, wherever he is, and for myself, we wish everyone good night. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll catch you again, ragazzi. Ciao.